Salutations, Ginger League, and welcome to Super Geeked, where we discuss the latest news on all things super. I'm your host, Susan Sutton, and joining me this week, as always, are Andrew Durning and Kevin Tierney. Gentle dogs, how are you?
Kev, how are you getting on?
Not too bad. I've been busy getting ready for my youngest's birthday at the end of this week.
How old are you going to be?
She'll be 10.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Doing anything nice?
Well, she wants to go to Build-A-Bear, so we're doing that. And we're going to the Pizza Hut on Saturday as well. So, busy weekend.
Certainly sounds it, man. Certainly sounds it.
No.
What about you, Susan? How are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Been keeping myself busy with one thing and another. So, yeah, it's been a long time since we've spoken, because obviously it was Alison's birthday. Did you have a good time?
Yep, did indeed. She had a great time. We just paused the world for a day and I took her out and just spoiled her rotten as best I can anyway. It's not they say it's not often that you turn 40. But she looks young enough that she could get away with at least 5 or 6 goes at it. So I think we'll be okay.
It's true, actually. She does look a lot younger. I think I'd said that 40 is the new 30, and she can definitely get away with that.
Yeah,
I definitely can. My 40th coming up in June, and I feel like I've already had about 3 40s. So,
In fairness, the way the last few weeks have gone for me, I feel about 102.
Age is just a number. It's just a state of mind.
Yep, that's what pedophiles say.
You're only as young as who you feel.
Hey, that's why Alison feels so young then.
I was going to say, I feel like a newborn then. Anyway, should we get on with the questions?
Yeah, let's dive into topics of discussion.
Yes.
Jinx.
Right. Henry Cavill is to be replaced by Liam Hemsworth in the next season of Witcher. Now, do you think that they could have let him have time to do other things, including Superman over at DC, and then postpone the series for a year or two?
Kev, since you're probably more in tune with, not just DC, but The Witcher as well, what are your thoughts on it? Again, thank you for sourcing the questions, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. I'm thinking that they should have, given him time to go and do other things, and instead of having to say, no, I'm going to have to leave because I've got this with DC, I've got this. He's possibly going to be James Bond as well. He's like one of the top 3 that they're talking about. So for the next 3 years, he's just going to be packed with work. And Netflix could have said, well, we can postpone it for a year or two. I mean, they've got used to that. I mean, the next series of Stranger Things isn't until 2024.
Yeah.
So they've got form with taking a big break with shows. So they could have easily done that and not recast him. Although Liam Hemsworth, I quite like Liam Hemsworth, and I think he'll be good in the role, but people are going to pan it either way.
Yep.
They've already been panning it, which is strange. He hasn't even filmed anything, and they're saying, no, he's shit.
Yeah, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. A lot of people are saying if Henry Cavill's Henry Cavill, I'm copying you, Susan. It's Cavill. It's Cavill. It's like but for anybody else that's a fan of the Ginger Engine, like the Thomas episode, like my own fan fiction one dropped. And you kept calling Renias, and every time you said it, Alison just burst out laughing.
But I did double check with everybody first on how to pronounce.
And we did send you recordings saying Renias. We did send you those recordings. I have the WhatsApp messages. I can play them back.
I like to be different.
Yes, definitely. But in fairness, it's had 3,000 views or something. So yeah, we done not bad. Considering. But back to The Witcher. I've not watched it. I think just because I was so burned by Game of Thrones, I was like, I'm not investing in another fantasy where it could potentially shit the bed. And it has. I think it should have been either the carry on with Henry Cavill or they stopped it, because any type of recasting, no matter what the situation, always ends badly. Prime example was Charlie Sheen's 2.5 Men. Granted, he was completely bonkers.
Yeah, he had to go. He had to go.
Yeah,
he was beyond.
There was no other way around it. He did have to go. But Ashton Kutcher jumping in, a good choice because he's got sitcom, experience, and he's a good actor. But you just knew it was doomed to fail no matter what. Whenever someone that's core leaves,
they
that's when you're trouble.
Him and God, what's the guy that plays his brother?
John Cryer. His name just escaped me. Ashton Kutcher and John Cryer didn't have the same chemistry. Yeah.
As he had with Charlie Sheen. Although John Cryer, when he came in, he said, "I'm really, really hesitant to work with Charlie Sheen. I've heard that it's ridiculously bad." He's like, "I'll do my best." And as it turns out, they became quite good friends. And, he done all he could to try and help him. It's like, "Look, you need to go to rehab. You need to leave this show or else you're going to end up killing yourself." So it was like a discussion between all of them. And, rehab didn't work for him, as we've found out.
Yeah.
But,
and then we also found out that he'd been diagnosed with HIV at the time.
Yeah.
And wasn't allowed to say anything. So hence why he was on self-destruct mode. So I can kind of understand.
I can see why he was sort of going into self-destruction mode. Like, well, going to die at one point sooner rather than later now. So, I may as well not stop.
The tiger blood was there. There was lots of tiger blood. But yeah, so in my roundabout way, I would say that's the kind of the bit that I'm concerned about is like Liam Hemsworth is really damned if you do, damned if you don't. I feel bad for him. Already, and he's not even officially in the hot seat yet.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts.
I'm a bit worried about asking the next questions because when you see something written down, like you can pronounce it as something in your head, and obviously it's something that's totally different. But
Don't
hey,
worry.
These are my foibles. I'm only human.
Exactly. And don't worry, we'll be right here to correct you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's always good to be put back on the straight and narrow. It's nice to fuck up now and again, but just keep me on the right path. Anyway, so moving on. Black Panther Wakanda, is that right?
Yep. Brilliant.
Right. Black Panther Wakanda Forever has now been released, and this is the first time a character has called themselves a mutant in the MCU. Emilia Clarke's character in Secret Wars is said to be Abigail Brand, who in the comics is a mutant. Are we slowly getting mutants in the MCU, and is it too slow or a good pace?
I'm going to go against the grain and say that they're actually doing this right. Personally, I think rushing it is the wrong way to go about things, like trying to bring everything in. The prime example is the entire saga that they've just wrapped up with Thanos. They introduced him in the first Avengers movie back in 2012, and he didn't come on the scene till what was it, 2017, 2018, Kev?
17, because it was Guardians.
Yeah, because 2019 was when Endgame came out, because that was just before we got hit with COVID and stuff. But that's 7 years to wrap that up from when you first see them in a teaser to when he finally had his arc completed. And it was used very sparingly and very sporadically, and it built up the right type of tension and the right type of teasing for it. So yeah, I think if they're gonna introduce mutants into it, they've got to do it right, especially because there's so much going to be riding on it with, because of the Fox merger, because they'll be looking at different characters to play certain roles, potentially bringing back other characters to play certain roles. They've got to be very careful because they're already in dangerous territory with multiverse stuff. I've already said I'm not a big fan of multiverse arcs. It just gets too confusing. So if they don't play it right, all the normies who they need for the extra revenue will drop off and just add to the fatigue. But what about you, Kev? What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I don't think they should rush it. We've seen how things go when things are rushed. Just look at Justice League. They rushed that to get it out. it bombed.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing in like a couple of mutants every couple of films, or like over the series that they've got coming out as well, I think that's going to be good. With Namor being the first mutant, because he is technically the first mutant, they get him in. He's the first mutant.
Technically, wasn't it Kamala Khan though? Like Miss Marvel, that was the first.
Yeah,
because
but
the first time they hinted at it anyway
was the
said about
first time they
mutation.
hinted at it. But Namor's older, so he classed himself as the first mutant because of the story. I don't want to go into it because people might not have seen it yet.
Yeah, we don't want any spoiler alerts. He
So
was a mutant before it was cool.
Yeah, yeah. So they're doing it slow, and Amelia Clark's character's Abigail Brand, who runs Sword, which is an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D., and she's a mutant who works for them. And so it's slowly building these characters in, and it's good that they're not just saying, right, here they are, this is it. So but where's the backstory?
Yeah.
Because they need to show these backstories. And there's been news that they're going to be bringing mutants in for like the special presentations. So like each of the main ones will get like a backstory. So it's a special one showing their story, and then like there'll be like 4 or 5 of them, and then they'll have like a big movie with all of them. So I think it's good that they're going to slowly introduce them.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like just because we can see like the reflection of the screen in Susan's glasses, but it looks like she's totally glazed over when we were talking. It would just look like she was no, okay, here they go.
No, and I think it is the reflection. No, I was going to go back and ask. Kevin mentioned about, is it Justice League, and how you thought that it was rushed out too quickly, and Andrew, you kind of went, do you not agree with that?
No, it was more the fact that like there were it wasn't just the fact that it was rushed, it was the fact that Zack Snyder had to leave the project because of his daughter, taking her own life, and then Joss Whedon had to come in and he made all the changes and all the reshoots, and then there was the behind the scenes controversy that got leaked as well. So it was more the fact that it was Joss Whedon basically just was a total bell end and just ruined what they were trying to go for.
I remember you two talking about this on the show a few weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah, because we'd
I'm not glazing over. I'm taking it in.
Yep. We're working our magic on you slowly but surely. I was able to convince Alison to start watching superhero stuff. That was a tough nut to crack. She grew up on a farm.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have watched Deadpool, so you have got me a little way there. So
what was your thoughts on Deadpool? Bear in mind that you have 2 Deadpool fanatics right here.
I don't know it really, because it's difficult to say, because you two will watch it in a completely different way than I would watch it. I liked it for the comedy aspect. I don't like American films or American comedy myself, but it did make me chuckle. It did, and it did look rather nice in that little fetching outfit,
Well, the fact that it is Ryan Reynolds definitely does have a factor. Even when he looks like a testicle with teeth, he still looks better than most people in Scotland. Yeah.
The best thing about Deadpool is people were saying, the film could have been done in like 45 minutes. When he gets out and he starts looking for him, he's looking for Francis. Nobody knows him as Francis. They all know him as Ajax. If he said, I'm looking for Ajax, like, oh, he's there. Yeah. It could have been done. He's like, no, I want Francis. That's who he is.
Yeah. That was his point of principle, though. Well, he knew that got under his skin. So it was just that was it. That was his kind of way. That's why, when he was fighting him, he kept Ajax kept saying, "What's my name?" because he wanted him to say Ajax rather than calling him Francis, because he knew he would have broke him. And I just loved when he had the gun out his head, he just went, "Who fucking cares?" And then it was like the whole "don't spare the enemy," blah blah, boom, shot. Because we all just looked at each other in the cinema when we seen it the first time. I just went, "Can you just kill this fucking already?"
Yep. No sequel for him. No sequel for him.
Which was a shame, though, because he was a fantastic. The actor who played him was brilliant.
Rupert Friend.
Yes, also from Game of Thrones as well, since we were talking about Amelia Clark earlier on. Another Game of Thrones alum. Very, very talented.
Yep. Although
Where's the movie on?
his transporter wasn't very good.
But in fairness, Jason Statham, that's who you had to follow.
You can't follow Jason Statham, that's true.
That's true, unless it's Vin Diesel.
Well, yeah.
But
Mind
anyway.
you, when I see a film coming up on TV now and it's Jason Statham, I don't bother watching it anymore because it's all same old, unfortunately. He's nice to look at,
He has been typecast a wee bit.
Yeah.
just a
But
bit.
aside from if you watch the film Spy with Melissa McCarthy, he just plays a total parody of himself, and he's so good because he still takes it so seriously. He's like
he's
like
really
driving
good
a
with
car
comedy, though.
while I was on fire, not the car. I was on fire, and just
He's
pure
really
like,
good with comedy, though.
yeah, he's fantastic. Like that's what I'm saying. He's so underappreciated. Well, I think he would do great in Marvel, actually, kind of in a similar way that Dave Bautista's done Drax, very dry wit, dry humor. What? So yeah, it could be potential for him. What? Statham,
Could
come to
be.
the MCU. We'll treat you right.
Well, you're going to have to tag him in this as well then. And maybe he'll be picked up for MCU.
We'll see. Right, we shall move on. Susan is the timekeeper. She's the
Yep.
watcher.
I am the watcher. Right. James Gunn has said he would be open to a Marvel DC crossover. Do you think that this would work in the current form, or would you think a series of shows would be better?
It's very interesting. And like, Kev, what would you think? What would be the best format for it?
Personally, I think like a series, like 20 episodes split into 2. So it's like 10 and 10.
Yeah.
And then after the 20 episodes, if it's successful, you can do one big film. But I don't think it should go past that because the nostalgia would wear off very quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's done the same with the
I'm
comics.
not into that, but I actually agree with that because I think you'd be creating so much interest, and it could be one of these like Game of Thrones. If you haven't watched it from the very first episode, you could go into one and kind of catch up and gain the interest. People will then go back to the beginning to start watching it from there, and then if a film were to come out, boom, you've probably got a full cinema.
Yep.
Yeah. It's one of the things that, like with Marvel, where they are just now, like you are so deep into like, you know, Marvel lore and like comic kind of stuff that even like me kind of looking at it now, I'm having to like back check and go through research just to make sure I know it's the right person that I'm talking about. And I used to think I was relatively well versed in the Dwemer superheroes, and I'm like, who the fuck's Namor again? I was like, is that basically? Oh yeah, it's Marvel's Aquaman. Cool, fair. Well, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was so it is getting that. So
technically, Aquaman is DC's Namor because Namor was first.
See, even there, like Kev has proved it. Like, so guys like me will make those type of mistakes, and it'll just be a leap straight in. So I know that they did. Correct from wrong, Kev. They did do what crossover in the comics.
They did, yeah.
What, and it was quite well received. I think if they followed that formula, there would be a chance. But in current state of play, I don't see it happening at all because DC just needs to get their shit together.
Yeah.
They're doing constant resets, and Marvel doesn't do that. They'll make like amendments with past films and maybe like adjust where they've got a window. DC is just constantly shitting the bed. What, they're better with just kind of more standalone stuff. And Marvel's more the continuity. So it would have to be like, you know, they'd have to have a little bit established or something that was already done. So say if they went, okay, we're gonna go and cross over, but we want Michael Keaton's Batman, like, and we want, you know, Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman, like that kind of Tim Burton-esque style, just stuck to one specific universe where they were all there.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, but if they were trying to do like fan service for fan service sake, it would just bomb. Because that was the thing that a lot of people didn't like about the Crisis on Infinite Earths thing. What with DC, it was was it 5 or 6 episodes, Kev?
6, I think. I think
it was
6.
Yeah, and it was like a crossover event from all the shows that were on at the time, and then they were bringing in cameos from people like Kevin Conroy's Batman and stuff like that. And they just, some of them just didn't land. They were just cameos for cameos' sake, and people didn't like it. So cameos are good, but they've got to serve a purpose in the story. Otherwise, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I think if they were going to do something like that, it would have to be in like 5 or 10 years after DC's finally got their shit together. And like they've got more established things going for them, and then they could say, well, let's get together and see if we can get a series, even if it's like a different universe, so they can bring in like the same characters but with different actors, like could be younger versions or older versions even. So it would need to be in a long time though.
Yeah, it would need to be a case of DC would need to get a good run where they've got their shit together, and Marvel would also need to have a slump.
Yeah,
because at the moment, DC could be like, we're going to give you this opportunity, and they'd be like, we don't actually need you, Bolt. We don't need that.
No. I know.
So
even with Thor, Love and Thunder, there, it wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be, but it's still in like the top 10 of this year. And
and there's no controversy around it.
Yeah. Two things I wanted to ask though, or say. I noticed that Aquaman was on TV at the weekend on both Saturday and Sunday, I think it was, and I was going to watch it, but I didn't on principle because a certain female was in there. So I was going to watch it. I will say that. And the other thing is, do you think that cinema audiences are really going to drop now because of the cost of living?
I personally think they are going to drop because that's one of the reasons why I'm not being able to do anything. Like, finances have taken a hit. Everything's getting so expensive. Excuse me. And it's like, right, do I go and see a film, or do I make sure that I can keep the lights on for an extra week? It's, well, I actually read it was an interesting article about like musicians like doing tours and things, and a lot of them are ready to chuck it. A lot of them are ready to like chuck it and go to day jobs, because putting on the tour is expensive in the first place, and then the ticket prices are going up and people are boycotting them, so they're not getting the revenue back and they're at a loss. And I know what it's like just struggling with the stuff that I've been struggling with. Imagine what it's like if you're like hundreds of thousands of pounds in debt or whatever. So,
I mean, I was talking with somebody today who was saying that there was a Garth Brooks concert coming up, if you're into that kind of thing. But apparently the tickets were basically sold out, and the tickets were £136 a piece.
Wow.
I know. And I'm thinking, how can anyone justify spending I'm all for supporting musicians, all for supporting the creatives, but how can you justify, and they're cheap, £136 for one ticket? And would these same people be complaining to their friends and families and neighbours and saying about the cost of living? I got my electricity bill in today, but you just spent £136 on a ticket. Adele tickets, apparently, I heard, were something like £600 odd in America, I think it was. How, like, £600 odd, that's how much money I have to live off for a week.
The
so the creatives are really taking a hit.
Yeah, you're talking about like obviously the Garth Brooks ticket's £136. That is more than my monthly electricity bill at this current moment. And it's like, no, I couldn't justify that at all. It's why Peter Kay's announcement that he's coming back has been more successful, because he's kept the prices the same as they were at his last tour, £32 a ticket. And they're having to add on extra dates because of that, because it's obviously been so long since they've seen him. But if you have guys that are like upfront about it and say, look, we understand it's tough, so we'll keep the prices the way it was back then, you're more likely to get people going to see it than if they go, right, 136 quid for this, and most people are going, who? It was like, I remember Madonna was coming to Glasgow and it was £90 a ticket for her, and she said, you should pay it because I'm worth it. And I said, you're not fucking L'Oreal, Bolt.
I've seen Weird Al Yankovic's doing a tour, He's coming to Glasgow.
Oh,
I looked up prices. It was £43. I was like, I really want to go, but
you know what?
it's pricey.
It's
It's worth it. It's worth it, but it's still
yeah,
pricey.
it's
And I was
pricey,
like,
but I'm really seriously considering it. Well, because I
I'm
love
still
Weird Al
considering it.
Yankovic so
Well,
much.
let's go. I'll go. We'll go.
Yeah,
Because the missus is like, no, you can go yourself. That fine. I'll go.
right, right. What company event? We'll see if I can try and get
Company
some.
event. There we go.
You can get a fundraiser going. Take us to see Weird Al Yankovic.
Interview him because he's a superhero.
Yeah, and I did parody
Yeah.
songs back in the day, so there you go.
Yeah. Have you seen his film? Weird.
Oh yes. Oh my god, it's amazing. It just
It's
made me
hilarious.
it just made me respect
And
him so much more, and Daniel
and
Radcliffe as well.
I was just going to say props to Daniel Radcliffe because he played him so seriously.
Yep.
It's so serious through the whole thing. It's
Yep.
like how can you play somebody like Weird Al Yankovic serious? But he
Yep.
done it. I
Yep.
just love how the full film is just a parody.
Yep. Of every like biopic of a musician. I was just watching it and I was just trying to pick out, right, where's Johnny Cash? Where's Elvis Presley? Where's all these tropes that are going on? And the fact that they had a Madonna arc in it, I was like, thank God, this is
I
going to be
know.
brilliant. It was just so funny. Well, and yeah, and in fairness to her, she was okay with it. Well, she was all right with him going down that road. So even though I don't think she's worth it, she's got a sense of humor. Good on her.
I think she gave the permission when she was still a bit sane. She's went a bit mental. No,
Oh my,
Yeah.
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's I think somebody needs to check on her because she's going a bit
Yeah.
downhill.
Oh yeah, if she wasn't like a millionaire, people would be doing a welfare check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. So moving on from Madonna
Mm-hmm.
to Tom Holland. Right. Tom Holland has been rumored to be signed on for another 3 MCU movies, with the Sony Marvel deal being extended. Now, Sony also say that Tom will not be the Spider-Man of their universe. So who do you think is going to be the Spider-Man?
I think they really need to go with Miles Morales. I think
Yeah.
that's the logical one. Like, getting like a young male black actor, what would be great for their diversity quota because they're all about
Yeah.
that. But the character itself is so full of like, there's great stories, there's great kind of lore behind it. Like even just watching like the Into the Spider-Verse, what animated film, Miles Morales was the lead character in it, and
Yep.
that was what kind of got it going. And it also means that we could get a certain Donald Glover back.
Yep.
Well, because he was in the first Spider-Man film, with Tom Holland.
Yep.
And he is Miles Morales' uncle, I believe. Yep. And who also plays Craven. Or is it no, what's his, it's a similar kind of guy, but the name escapes me. But basically we could
I
get
can't
Donald
remember.
Glover back. And that's awesome. Anything with Donald Glover is just, yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And that would suit me down to the ground. I'm glad Tom Holland is coming back as well. I hope they don't rush him. I hope they just take the time to bed him back in because he'll have had quite a bit of a break
Aye.
from doing
Well, it's
all
been about
this.
a year and a half or something. He's not done anything with Spider-Man, so
Yeah,
he'll be out of practice.
Yeah, and and it was a good arc that he had. There would be trepidation going back in because you wouldn't want anything to kind of tarnish it. It was a nice, rounded, continued story. It worked out really well. Tom Holland, and Zendaya, got to give her due, was really, really fantastic in it. Really strong acting. So I would be just worried of how they were going to go about it. If they do it, they've got to do it right. But yeah, Miles Morales for Sony's version, 100%. What about you, Kev?
I think Miles Morales would be the best way to go for their Spider-Man. If they're not going to have like Peter Parker, because Sony have done Peter Parker, and they've failed him twice.
Yep.
With interference, and they need to just let the script and the directors and the actors do their thing. I was thinking getting somebody younger as Miles Morales. So I was thinking maybe Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things.
Yes.
I know he's like 21 or 22 now, but he still looks like he could play a 16-year-old. In fact, he is still playing a 16-year-old in Stranger Things.
Yep, definitely.
But then that means his uncle could still be Donald Glover.
Exactly. Well, and I would just want to see if he could go, right, we'll get Donald Glover and get Danny Glover just to come in and say, I'm too old for this shit, and leave again. Just for that would be worth it.
I would pay for
So
that.
are Donald and Danny related then?
I think Donald is I don't know. Right, someone needs to Google this. Because I think there is some sort of connection, but I'm gonna Google it because it's gonna bug me. Yeah, but one thing I will ask Kev is, what about Spider Gwen? So getting Gwen Stacy, do you think that could be a possibility, and getting certain Emma Stone back?
That could be a possibility, but that would have to be coming in from a different universe then, possibly, because
yeah,
she's been in the Amazing Spider-Man. Although they could work it around, it's a multiverse, it's the same character, so they could get her in. She's the right age still to be playing the character, so it's a possibility, but I don't think she would come back. I think she's too busy doing other things.
That's true. Curse her and her whole Oscar-winning stuff.
Exactly.
Just double checked it. Kev, you were right. Not related, despite the rumors. But it was. But make them related in Sony in Spider-Man.
Yep.
Anything's possible.
Yep. The marketing writes itself. Well, it does write itself because I essentially just wrote it.
I mean, we're just plugging work for Danny Glover. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well,
we've got Predator 3, where the Predator comes and kills him, and then his family come, and who was going to be his family? It was going to be Donald Glover.
Exactly. Well,
you just want them to work together. You just want them to work together.
Of course. And the marketing writes itself. Well, and I think people are taking notice. We saw the picture of Danny Glover with the Predator. Well, I think someone looked at it and went, okay, let's test the waters here. Let's see if this weird ginger guy and his pals have got something.
Well, again, you're going to have to at Danny and
Donald.
Who was it? Donald.
Danny and Donald.
Danny and Donald, at them or hashtag them, and who knows where it might lead.
Glover versus Glover.
Yeah. And before we wrap up, one thing we do need to address, Kevin Conroy sadly passed away, who was one of the most prolific voice actors for Batman, certainly of mine and Kevin's generation. Several games, TV shows, movies, and a live action appearance as the Caped Crusader. Absolutely fantastic actor, a great person. He was also an LGBTQ activist, because he was gay and got turned down for a lot of lead roles because of his sexuality at the time in the 80s, which was horrible. But oh my God, did he prove so many people wrong? Mr. Conroy, wherever you are, we miss you. And I was certainly watching the animated series in tribute over the weekend.
Yep.
Respect. Same. Yeah.
I actually played the game as well.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, that is it for this show. Now, hopefully that once again, this has given all the viewers something to think about and talk about. So until next time, he's super. No, he's super.
Yeah, there we go.
He's Ginger. And I've been your host, the ever-failing Susan Sutton.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Renias. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.